Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck Podcast, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of hockey, specifically in Canada, just like the name implies. I'm your co-host, Mick. You can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick. Not so much nowadays. And I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host, whoop, 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 whoop.
Grant on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. I just like the idea of you patting my bottom, kind of like giving me that extra boost of encouragement. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for. A little bottom support. So,
you know what? This is crazy. We are down to 2 Saturdays left in the NHL schedule. We might have one North Division game like 3 Saturdays from now, or I guess 3 Saturdays from now. But for all intents and purposes, this is our second last Saturday of the season.
That is crazy. So 15. So you're thinking maybe the 22nd, and there's a game, and then like May 24th week playoff start.
Yeah, and that last week of the season is just going to be hell too, because it's like one game per night as the league makes up all of those Vancouver Canucks games that had to get rescheduled, postponed a couple weeks ago, start of the month.
Yeah, it's crummy. I haven't looked at the schedule. Maybe we'll pull it up at some point. Can I do that? Can I figure out where the heck the schedule is on NHL.com? Kind of works. May. Oh no. What do we think?
It gets thin and ugly, and it even starts tomorrow. One hockey game on a Sunday, like that stinks too, man. Thank God there's baseball to watch on a Sunday.
Yeah, it does kind of lighten up a little bit. Even I found that on Monday. What day was that? There was a day this week that had a pretty light schedule. Only had it down to Tuesday and Wednesday. Calgary and Vancouver. That's good on the 18th and 19th. Set your clocks ahead on that one. So, no thanks. No thanks in all. Yeah, well, pretty good week. We will get into it at some point. If you're new to the show, we're going to do some headlines. We're going to kind of recap what's going on with each of the other divisions. Specifically look at all the Canadian teams, kind of give you a recap of how they're doing this week. Give you a little fantasy advice, a little gambling advice. Maybe we'll even look at some boobs today. It's going to be a good show.
Oh yeah, we're going to look at boobs today, Mick. It's Saturday.
Yeah. Did it. We did it. So we jump right into our headlines. Ooh, popping off the mic. I was going to do something about this. I think my mic's just too close to my mouth, or I'm like too loud. I haven't figured that out. Maybe next week. Discover Central. Is there any cool stories coming out of the Discover Central this week?
I think the cool thing about today is that Dallas plays Nashville. And I think the Stars have a game in hand. So if they win in regulation, Dallas will overtake Nashville, usurp the Predators, if you will, and sit in the final playoff spot in the Central Division. They kind of just feel like cannon fodder for whoever ends up first. But still, nevertheless, a pretty cool accomplishment for a team that just fucking sucked to start the season. Like, just god-awful for an extended period of time. And the thing that I think they overcame the most is, like, their schedule over the last 6 weeks has just been crazy, like game after game after game after game. So if they do make it, it will be well earned. And they've got some impressive metrics too. I looked at them last night. Maybe this is foreshadowing, but they do have a few things working in their favor. So this is going to be a good hockey game. Playoff intensity in the Central Division tonight.
Sweet. I love a little playoff intensity, because sometimes when you watch games and one team isn't trying, oh man, there's some sleepy hockey you can talk about for sure. On to the Honda West, though, talking about playoff intensity.
Moving on. No. But there was a huge story, at least huge in my book, story coming out of the NHL West this week. Ryan Miller decides to hang them up. I think tonight will probably be his last start in the NHL. Ooh, maybe you get some foreshadowing.
Wow. Well,
double foreshadowing.
I made a decision earlier that I'm very happy about now, so yay! Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, actually, I saw the retirement story, and then I saw he was expected goalie tonight, and I was like, maybe the score app's just losing its luster. But if he is making that final start, good for them. Cool, yo. Maybe they'll make up that. What do we got? A -54 goal differential. Yeah,
It's been a god-awful year, and the guy has been on a slow decline. He's 41 years old. If that doesn't make you feel old, I don't know what will. But Ryan Miller, Mr. MVP in the Olympics 2010, to go, is 41 years old, and it's the Ducks, I think, final home game of the season, second night of back-to-back. Like, if it's not Ryan Miller tonight, they are not starting Ryan Miller ever again. So I hope that this is his adieu to the league, because he's earned some respect over the years, I got to say.
Yeah. And if we scroll down, Scotia North, now we're going to talk about that last. What the Mass Mutual East? Oh, that's Mass Mutual East. All right, so what's going on there? Anything exciting?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. The one thing that does jump out at me again, and it's just getting back into the playoff races. I told you last week, it's playoff Grant now. St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Washington are tied atop the standings with 69 points apiece. So I bet Washington to come out on top of the NHL Central, 550, I think it was, 500, 5 plus 500. It's coming down to the nitty-gritty here. And I'm really thinking about taking a strong position on the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight to try and hedge that bet a little bit, because you have to think that whoever wins tonight's game is in the driver's seat for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And basically, they're going to seal their own fate. I don't want to let it all ride, I don't think, but I think tonight's going to be a good game. What do you think? What do you think I should do in this scenario, Mick?
I wasn't really paying attention because you mentioned nitty gritty, and then my mind immediately went to the best mascot in sports, Gritty. And I thought, what's that guy doing? So I started daydreaming about it. In terms of the hedge, I'd look at the schedule going forward, right? Like, is that their last meeting? Because that's going to be that 4-point swing that you're right might kind of sway it one way or the other. Are you getting plus money on the Penguins tonight?
That is a good question.
Because if they're a favorite, I don't know if like hedging on a favorite in that scenario is probably wise, right? Like you may just, I don't know.
Pittsburgh is minus 102. The Caps are minus 116.
Okay, yeah. So they kind of figure it's a little bit of a coin toss at that point too. How much money do you got on it?
Not enough to retire, but enough to make myself feel good.
Okay.
It is the last matchup of the season. The capital season for the rest of the way is at Rangers versus Philly, and then versus Boston on May 11th.
It's probably like 3-2, 4-1 kind of thing that they're rocking through. So, yeah.
You got to think like Rangers are a little desperate. Maybe Rangers beat them. They should get past Philly. And then Boston, last game of the season, unless Boston's playing for something, that might just be a mail it in the game.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because it might just be there like, well, we're in. We're not going to catch the next guy. Go from there. I don't know.
And how I'm going to play it? Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
All right, there you go. It's a mystery. Maybe you'll let us know next week what happened.
You know what? I will let you know next week.
All right.
Little breadcrumbs, man. We're fucking killing it today. Leading people into the later parts of the episode and making people tune in for like all the juicy gossip for next week.
We're better. I always say we're better on a Saturday morning than we are on a Friday night. So it's the hangover.
Are we
effect.
actually though?
I think
maybe that's just
like if you were to like grade us, right? Like we're like an okay hang, an okay party, but we're a way better hangover buddy than we are like those things combined. Because there's guys that are better partiers or better hangs, but the next day they're not going to give you the same level of intensity we're hitting you. So, boom.
More consistent. I would say we're probably like, I want to give us at least a B plus hang, B plus partiers. Like, but you're right. I think where we make our difference is the hangover. Like, I can't remember a bad morning we've ever had hungover. All our best decisions have ever happened hungover.
Oh, 100%. You don't pump out like 57 holes of golf on a Saturday morning hungover and not call that a great day. So,
like, yeah, not only that, but like smorgasbords, go for Chinese buffets in the morning. Mm-hmm. Like, all our best decisions. You're right. We are hangover people. Yeah. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
The Saturday morning is just crushing it. But now on to the Scotia North, the best division in sports. Well, as long as you don't look at the standings and look at like where the bottom kind of teams fall in, then Yup. But it keeps my attention, and really it's the only thing I pay attention to. So other sports, or other even divisions in hockey, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. If you start at the bottom, we get the lowly Vancouver Canucks. Come on, guys. You're making me look like an idiot.
I saw that, and that was just like validation. I was like, validation, but they do have games in hand, so chances are they're probably going to move up until 6th. That seems kind of inevitable at this point.
Yes, they looked a little bit okay. I think last week when we talked, they had beat up on the lowly Toronto Maple Leafs a couple games. We're like, these guys are going to be flying. They were 1-3 this week. Pretty good, not bad. 8 goals for, 14 goals against. So, good job, team.
I see, too, while we're on the topic of the Canucks, I have taken a slight lead in our fantasy pool. Last I checked, it was earlier in the week. I think I had a 14-point cushion.
Yeah.
Vancouver's in tough again tonight against Toronto. Maybe they have some increased output. But also, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, like my chances are impacted by some stuff that's going on with the Habs right now. So, Vancouver, they are, let's just look here, 6 points out of the 5th spot with 5 games in hand. I'm going to set the over-under at 5.5. Where do the Canucks finish?
5.5. I'm going to go... That's under. I'm going to go under.
Bold. I like it.
Bold. I think there's going to be a little bit of action at 4 and 5. I don't think it's going to include the Vancouver Canucks, though. So, yeah. Yeah,
well, I think it really, at this point, the Canucks season is the rest of the Canucks season is just a formality. Let's kind of pack her up here and get out of this, boys.
I mean, those first couple games against the Leafs where they kind of looked a little slow, but, they got a little bit of puck luck. Since then, I mean, like, there was a couple games against the Senators this week where they just got pumped. Like, it didn't even look like it was a competitive hockey game. And I think we're going to probably see that trend kind of continue where these guys know they're out. They're feeling the effects of the COVID. They're, like, just... It's going to be some bad hockey kind of down the stretch. So, yeah, not expecting big things from the Vancouver Canucks.
Do they at least have a trip to Montreal left? Like, I hope that they can at least go to Shea Parade one last time. Like, that would be the milestone that I would set as an NHL player. Like, do I have one more trip to Shea Parade this season? Fine. That's all I have left to play for. If they don't have that, they're fucked. Yep. Like, they have nothing going for them.
Yep, nope. Just an off season of overpaying some young guys that are unproven. So, or not being able to afford them because you gave a bunch of money to Antoine Roussel. And you're like, good job. Woo! On to number 6, though, the Ottawa Senators. They had themselves a week. They went 2-1. They had 10 goals for and 8 goals against. Seems pretty mediocre, Ottawa, considering I was just pumping you up. What the heck happened?
Well, Vancouver happened. They got past Vancouver both those games. That was nice. However, 42 points, 6 games remaining. So in terms of real money, like, all they need is one more win in the last 6. They need, I can't remember what it was, for 2 wins. They need 2 wins in their last 6 for me to cash on my preseason prop of 45.5 points. I've slowly watched this dwindle, and that is, at first I needed them to be 500, or like slightly above 500. Then I needed them to be 500. Now they can go 2-4 to end the season. What is that? 333 winning percentage. And I could still cash my prop. Mm-hmm. Are they getting there?
Well, I feel like maybe they get one of those wins tonight. So then they really only have to go 1-4 down the stretch. So I think tonight's going to make it really easy on your stress levels. So.
Oh, more foreshadowing. They've been exciting though. I would say, like, I've watched a couple Sens games. I kind of like watching them.
As much as we've shat on this team for 4 straight years, they're now kind of coming around, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. They're kind of frisky, right? Like, you get the Connor Browns of the world, the Norrises, the Kachucks, like, they're frisky. They're
Let's
frisky.
Not discount.
Yeah, like, they're frisky. Like, they're not good. They're not going to beat anyone in a long series, but, like, right now they're frisky. And it's how they go forward that's going to be impressive, right? Is Dorian going to fist them on this one and just, like, sell off parts and not buy free agents? We shall see.
Kind of sounds like an Ottawa thing to do, but You're right. Time will tell.
Yeah. On to number 5, though. Starting to get almost close to that playoff spot. It's pretty exciting. The Calgary Flames went 2-1 this week. 9 goals for and 5 goals against.
2-1 sounds great, but they fucked themselves. They had Montreal at home for 3 games. They took the first 2, and that third game would have been the X factor that pushed them over the edge. They dropped it. I think that's the difference on the Flames season this year. And now I think they've kind of recognized that too. Now you've got 6 points to make up in the final 7 games of the season. No games left against the Habs seems a little insurmountable.
Oh, it's definitely in Montreal's in the driver's seat at this point, and it's just kind of a ride it out. But you're right, that game that they dropped, we'll see. They get the Oilers tonight, right?
It is a battle of Alberta.
Yeah, and I can't see the Oilers dropping another one like that, looking kind of pathetic. So, I mean, the Flames aren't playing that good of hockey, so I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be, yeah. Maybe they both lose.
You know what? If there's going to be 2 losers, it's going to happen in an Oilers-Flames game.
Yep.
But I don't know. Their offense is terrible. I've harped on them for the last little while. Every time I look into it, I'm just blown away at how bad they are offensively under Darryl Sutter. And the worst part is that this is what this is what the Flames wanted. They wanted decreased offensive metrics when they have some of the most basically 2 top lines of just skill players.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 times a game. Maybe. Fuck off. You got what you deserve, Flames.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I do think it's going to be one of those things where, honestly, long term, what's the best for the Flames? For them to literally just fizzle out at this point, kind of get maybe surpassed by the Senators, maybe even the Canucks and just bottom out, right? Get that draft pick, kind of move the top pieces, bring in hope, right? Maybe grab another pick and a prospect for some of your top guys, rebuild. But that won't happen. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they do because they have goddamn Jacob Markstrom until he's 38. Way to think that one through, guys.
But goalies could be moved. We got a team coming this spring that needs a goalie. Maybe Jacob Markstrom likes the Pacific Northwest.
Who doesn't like the Pacific Northwest?
Monsters, that's who, because Mulder and Scully are out there fucking busting their chops. So.
Is X-Files Pacific Northwest?
I mean, it was filmed in Vancouver, so lots of times they're supposed to be in DC, but it's clearly downtown Vancouver when you watch the show, and they spend a lot of time in the woods for some reason. I'm like, well,
I don't really want to go. Bigfoot, Kraken, aliens. I don't even think Mulder's alive. Is Mulder still alive? I'd let Scully take a run at me, but I think Mulder's dead. Mulder's got to be dead.
Did he die? I don't know. I was watching the show at some point. I did a rewatch and watched just the and I got the season 3 and I just fell off. And I get it. There's aliens, but you don't want to talk about them. Stupid show.
David Duchovny is his name. I knew that off the top of my head. He's 60 years old. God damn. Did you know he was married to Téa Leoni?
I think so, because didn't he show a show like Californication or something like that? I remember he was he's done that. That's kind of supposed to be a sexy show or something, and he did Red Shoe Diaries for a while, so obviously he's doing something right.
Honestly, that just blows me away. You know what? We might have a new Babe of the Week. Taylor. Oh, she's married again. Who the fuck is Tim Daly? Oh, Tim. You know what? No, we're gonna stick with what we got here.
All right, okay. Well, let's go on with the Montreal Canadiens. They went 2-2 this week. They got 6 goals for and 13 goals against. So that defense and goaltending really on fire there, Montreal.
You got to see this guy. He looks like a fucking nerd, Tim Daly, and he's 10 years older than her.
Okay, let's see this. Tim Daly.
He's got children already. Way to fucking think that one through, Téa Leoni. I don't even know who we're talking about anymore, Mick.
Well, I kind of gave the stats for how the Canadians did. I got some Tim Dalys on the screen now, so everyone's following along.
Damn it! You know what? My spirit's crushed. Kind of like the Montreal playoffs. Hopes for however this season's going to end now that Carey Price has a concussion. And we all know how concussions go.
Yeah, not well. Yeah, they're not playing inspired hockey at this point. That game on Wednesday, as I was alluding to earlier, it was bad hockey. it was the kind of the big premier game of the night, and it was like a bit of a snore fest against the Leafs there. They got to be able to like find a different gear, or it's going to be a very short first round series if the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs play. But like, oh man, like,
without Carey Price, they are absolutely fucked. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Josh Anderson, which was kind of what I passively alluded to earlier, is decided that he needs to take a break from hockey. So I don't know if there was any kind of digging in on that. Like, I don't know if anybody's kind of broke a report.
Anderson or Drouin? Because I know Drouin at some point.
Oh, sorry,
I was going to say, I was like, because if Anderson's also gone now, I was like, they're like, are they just like packing up the season? Because like, where's their offense coming from? Come on, Nick Suzuki.
Oh man, yeah, no, definitely my bad. You're
Okay.
right. It is Drouin.
Yeah.
And that's one player that my fantasy team will be without for the rest of the season. I just have to say, Montreal, and I think I've said this time and time again, Montreal got what they deserved. You fire the best coach in the division, maybe second best coach in the division, partway through the season because they're on a bit of a skid, and now you hire this guy who's just like, Montreal's metrics are all way out of whack. Sometimes they're good, sometimes working. Like, -1 goal differential. I can't even remember what the record is. 11-11-2 on home ice. Like, Montreal used to be the team to beat on home ice. Now they're 500.
Yeah.
And barely 500.
Yeah, well, it's interesting without the fans too, right? Because like at one point they were kind of saying that on the broadcast on Wednesday night. They were like, well, I think when the Leafs scored their third goal, they're like, well, I mean, good thing there are no fans here because it sounds kind of the same as it would if there were fans. It's pretty silent in here, not a lot of energy, and you're kind of getting that from this team. So I don't know.
They just need to be booed relentlessly to play hockey. That's the motivation. Well, guess what, Montreal? Boo!
Yeah.
I hope you hear that loud and clear.
Well, and you do wonder, especially in some of those games too, like when they scored late against the Leafs, if there wasn't more of an energy in the building, if it would have got the guys going a little bit versus, again, it just kind of stayed flat, right? And I don't think, unless there's some type of weird reports I'm missing, I don't think we're seeing fans anytime in the North Division in the playoffs, right? They might get some fans, like if they have to do some type of bubble situation or something like that for the Stanley Cup Finals or kind of semifinals. So it'll be, you kind of make your own energy.
You make them sound like slush machines. You guys just gotta make your own.
Make your own, you pick your own flavors. Swamp waters. It'll be great.
Everybody knows you don't go swamp water. Not as a grown man.
No, really? Oh, shoot. I didn't miss that memo. You just pick something. I just want Coca-Cola.
Well, I'm not a fucking psychopath either, Mick. Like, meet me in the middle somewhere. 2 flavors. I'm a 2-flavor Slurpee kind of guy. Okay. Because then you avoid all the mixing and you can still get those distinct flavors. And if you play your cards right, that middle bubble is always the best because you can get like, Pepsi with some like margarita flavor or like lime flavor. It's pretty good.
I'm a big cream soda fan myself too. It's like those crushes you used to get at the birthday parties. I'm always like, I see those in the store once in a while. I'm like, I could have a birthday party for myself.
Man, buy yourself a rainbow. You've earned it, Mick. Treat yourself to a rainbow pack. You get the orange, you get the grape, you get the cream soda, and you get the root beer.
Like, how underrated is the grape too?
Yeah, I'm doing a crush run after this.
All right, maybe me as well. If we drop up one more, we get to the Winnipeg Jets, we're 0-4 this week since we last spoke. They scored 6 goals and they were scored on 18 times. So that's a shame.
I love how you could even get through that with a straight face. We've been harping on this team for aggression for like literally seasons, and it finally hit at the end of this season.
Well, because they were a point or 2 points, 3 points away from the Toronto Maple Leafs before that 2-game series at the end of last week. The conclusion, the Leafs won. Kicked their butts, kind of created that divide, and the divides kept going. They've just they're on the slide right now. They were thinking maybe trying to play for home ice advantage at this point. Edmonton's got 3 points on them, 2 games in hand. I kind of feel like the Winnipeg Jets are our third place team this year. So,
Well, listen to this here. So Montreal has 1 game in hand and 4 points back.
yeah.
So do they have any games left together? I'm just going to do a quick search here and I think it would be like to Montreal's detriment. I think Montreal matches up like if they do not play them anymore. So never mind. My point is moot. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. On to brighter news, though. The Edmonton Oilers probably are in second, and they probably will stay in second. So that means a home ice advantage, and they play really well on home ice. Remember the bubble last year when everyone was in Edmonton, and they were like fired up and ready to play, and they definitely didn't disappoint everyone. They went 2-1 this week. They scored, 10 goals? 5 goals against. So they almost played defensive hockey.
You gaslighting son of a bitch, you. Here I am with just a glimmer of optimism, and you're squashing it out.
Yeah, sorry.
But it is kind of weird. I looked at the Oilers metrics. At the start of the year, we all knew how impressive offensively they were. They, over the last part of this season, have shifted. So it used to be like offense, defense. Now it's like offense, defense. Like you can see Dave Tippett has kind of changed things, and I think that's reflected a little bit on the on-ice product. We'll see if it pays off, because what the Oilers have always done wrong in the playoffs is they always just dig these holes. Let's talk about the bubble last week. Like, how do you give up 5 goals to Chicago in one period? Like, their defensive structure has always been their Achilles heel. Maybe David Tippett recognized that, and maybe the strategy pays off, so they're a little bit more successful this season. It will be interesting to see. But I mentioned earlier I can't even remember, it was a few weeks ago, I think Connor McDavid actually has a bet with himself where he can make it to 100 points on the season, because he's turning it on, and he doesn't even need to be a 2-point per game the rest of the way. I think he's down to, or maybe he is 2 points per game. So 6 games, what is it, 6, 8, yes, sorry, 8 games left. I think he's at 84 points. So basically, 2 points per game the rest of the way, and he eclipses 100 points. That's crazy in a 56-game season.
Yeah, that's bizarro. Jesus. Huh. Yeah, I just pulled up the list here. 84 points. Draisaitl was 67, eh?
And you know what the fucked up part about all this is, Mick? Is that they're still going to give the Hart Trophy to somebody like, I don't know, David Pastrnak. They're like, oh, but David Pastrnak was great.
Well, Nathan McKinnon, that was a tough division, and they got second. And, look, he's got 61 whole points. So, and Austin Matthews is in the conversation, too, even though he's not the top scorer on that team. Austin Matthews.
It's like people look right past him. It's just well, we can't give it to Connor McDavid. We already know he's the best player.
I mean, you see that in other sports, too, right? I know basketball that happens. Think, Steve Nash should be a 3-time MVP, but because the 3-time MVP club is so elite, Dirk gets it in his last season, right? That's happened with, Antetokounmpo this year, where, he's the MVP. His numbers are just as good as last year, but they're maybe, Joel Embiid is there? Yeah, we like something new. So sometimes people just like something fresh, right? And they want to see the champions fall, right? And fail a little bit, so...
You know what the best part is? Chris Paul. Chris Paul entering the MVP conversation this year. This is a guy, and I love Chris Paul. He throws elbows. When I talk about hockey, I sarcastically reference controlling the play down low. Chris Paul controls the play down low in basketball. He's got that gritty truculence that we love so much on the Canada Puck podcast. But for the love of God, guys, he's not an MVP candidate. Is he good? Absolutely. Is he the best player in the league? Not a chance.
No.
But anyways.
Well, but I mean, yeah, I guess that kind of goes to is he the most valuable? Does him being on the Phoenix Suns get some, from the 8th place to first place? That's a big value, and that's one of those metrics. He doesn't really show it on paper. It's kind of what he brings to the game. So
that's a valid point. I will concede that point.
And like it's also one of those things, like if he gets the MVP, it feels like it'd be you had a very successful career. Here's kind of like your little like championship nod, like they do those things kind of once in a while and they're cute. So
it's kind of like, okay, if we're taking this analogy even further, it's like when they gave Martin Scorsese the Oscar for Best Director for Departed.
Yeah.
I love Departed. One of like top 5 favorite movies of all time. But that was more a reflection of, here, we haven't given you an award yet, then this is the best piece of entertainment you've ever put on the silver screen. So,
or like the Lord of the Rings, like the Return of the King, the third one, won Best Picture, but it wasn't really like, everyone knew it wasn't like that film. It was like the trilogy as a whole, kind of, right? So it was kind of a pseudo award.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I get that with Chris Paul. Like, this guy has, like, gold medalist. I'm pretty sure he's won the gold medal.
Yeah.
I don't think he's won the NBA championship, though. But anyways, he is great career. Maybe he does deserve an MVP award. It just kind of fucked up how they do these things.
Yep, they love their narratives. Toronto Maple Leafs, last team on the top of the division. Since we've talked about Scorsese and Lord of the Rings and Chris Paul, they were 4-0 this week. They, 12 goals for, 3 goals against. Or sorry, they're 3-1. So 4-1 final score in all those games.
They're turning it on the right time of year. And we kind of talked about this a little bit a few podcasts ago too. That is, they had that lull. They are picking things up at the right time. I think what's scariest about this team is that, like, Frederik Andersen, if he's healthy, can be a difference maker. Mm-hmm. They haven't had him, but they're still finding ways to dominate. When you're in a 7-game series and you have kind of these ebbs and flows that come naturally with hockey, Frederik Andersen will steal you a game if he is on. I am 100% certain that the Leafs are holding him out to get him to that 100% level so that they can just roast teams in the playoffs. Do you think the Toronto Maple Leafs are legitimate Stanley Cup contenders?
I'm gonna hide behind my hands when I answer this one. I do. I think it's scary. You watch this team on the ice, and so Frederik Andersen's out. They still have Zach Hyman, who's going to come back. They've got the Riley Nashes that can be added into the situation. They've got the young guns and the Nick Robinsons. So just the on ice product right now, you still have talent. You still have kind of those pieces that you're going to add. You can add. They're going to be really dynamic. I think far and away they are the best team in the North Division. Maybe they hit that like impenetrable wall in the semifinals that stops them going to the Cup Finals. But I was thinking about that just today. Like, it's gonna hurt. Like, this spring, there's gonna be some heartache in my life. I know it's coming. Like, it's gonna be something bad's gonna happen, right? But like, the Jason Spezzas are playing, the Thorntons are playing. They really want these cups. They want to win it for the hometown team. Yeah, there's a lot of.
I think that if they get a Central Division matchup in the semifinals, mm-hmm. they are in the Stanley Cup Finals without a doubt. Like, I am taking Toronto over every one of the Central Division teams. Carolina, Tampa Bay, Florida, they are better than, and whoever sneaks into that 4th spot, whoever comes out of Central, Toronto is better than. If that's who they are lucky enough to get, they are Stanley Cup Finals. I'm less certain about the Colorado or the Vegas or the, Washington. Like, those are teams that have been there before that do things a little better than the Leafs. And I think it really, really boils down to matchup. But it's crazy that this team is able to do what they do. And you can tell, like, everybody hates Toronto. Naturally, like, it's the way the media portrays them. Like, everybody hates Toronto. Yeah. You can't avoid that. But they've taken on this new villainous role in the NHL where people just, like, are actively rooting against them. And even that Simmons thing from earlier this week, like, who was it? Edler took a run at Hyman. Simmons grabs a hold of Edler, rightfully so. You kind of got to fucking eat your humble pies here. Everybody shat on Wayne Simmons for doing that. They're like, oh, he's blah, 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 all these other things. I was like, if this was any other team, opposite treatment, because Toronto is the new villain of the NHL, and I think they're going to embrace that role.
I agree, and I do have the standings pulled up, so we kind of have, let's say, top 10 on the screen right now. Central Division, the Carolinas, Florida, and Tampa Bay are 1, 3, and 4 respectively. Vegas is at 2. Toronto's at 5. So if the season ended today, they're probably, unless it's like Carolina Vegas and just goes chalk, you get that Vegas Tampa or Toronto matchup. More than likely, they're going to probably get like a Washington Pittsburgh maybe. See where that goes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be like I said, it all boils down to the matchup and who they actually get. Well, first getting through the North Division and then getting into the semifinals, who they get. But I just this team has been through a lot, and not the team. The organization has been through a lot to get to this point, and they're going to ride this. And they have basically two outcomes. They can be the next Pittsburgh Penguins, where they ride this dynasty of young players to multiple cups over like what did Pittsburgh have? 3 cups over a 7-year period,
something like that, yeah.
Or they could be the San Jose Sharks, where we finally did it, guys. We made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, and then they implode, and nobody cares about them for decades again.
100%, and you've seen that kind of in the last couple of years. The big stars got quiet. Like the Matthews hasn't had his playoff moments yet, right? Like the Marners are still trying. So you'll kind of see what level of player talent you get, right? Do the guys step up to the stage? I don't know.
It'll be fun to watch. You got a front row seat this postseason.
I mean, it's one of those things too. Love them or hate them. If the Toronto Maple Leafs are in the Stanley Cup Finals, you're getting 30 million Canadians watching every one of those games, right? Kind of living and dying with the pucks. So, Leafs Nation, you're about to expand from 29 million to 30 million this spring. So we'll bring all the rest of the Scotia North fans with us, and we'll head to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. Well, I still can't believe that we're talking about playoffs now, because it feels like, granted, it was a short season, but it just started. Like, even if for me personally, I was like, man, like this season flew by. But anyways.
Also, like, we're kind of bad podcast hosts right now. I do apologize, people. The Toronto Maple Leafs clinched the spot this week. They got 69 points. We didn't even say nice.
That is nice.
Son of a gun. That ends up with headlines. Yeah, I mean, Toronto, again, they clinched in a very, very low energy affair on Wednesday night there. Beat up Vancouver the next day, so there you go. Where are we at? FanDuel. What's going on in the world of FanDuel? So that's kind of going to keep you up to date what's going on. Now we know what the week that was. Let's look ahead to the week that is going to be and see what's going on.
So let's just get one thing off the bat. I fucking hate fantasy sports. I don't know why. I can't figure this. Every week I have like one brilliant piece, or like, yeah, like fuck, way to get Dougie Hamilton in your lineup, Grant. Well, guess what? Dougie Hamilton and his 35.7 points accounted for nearly half of my actual output. 78.1. Scheifele pooped himself. Brady Tkachuk was a non-factor. John Klingberg put 0. And I think the part that is always my undoing is my goalie. Now, last week I had Matt Murray, 5.6 points. I think you've been more successful at this. How did your week shake out last week?
Last week I gave you some bad advice, listeners. I ended up with 108 points, and I finished in 8th out of my 10-man pool, but I only missed out on cashing in by 5 points. So I do feel like I made kind of a... Let's see, there's my team there. I don't know why I clicked on that. Where did I switched in a... Drake Batherson. I did a Batherson swap for... Nick Suzuki and Josh Anderson, and I feel like they would have actually given me maybe that potential 5 points. So I made kind of a last-minute audible, which I think cost me, and again, that was pretty close in that matchup. I also kind of rode or died with Winnipeg, and Winnipeg kind of also died last week, so...
Yeah, Winnipeg's dead, man. They're gone.
Yeah, but emotionally. I did have an entry for today, but as I'm kind of quickly scrolling through this, it looks like there was not enough people in my pool, so... I'll let Grant kind of run through his, and I'll see if I can maybe at least show you what I was thinking.
All right. I will start in the back end of my lineup, and that is with Ryan Miller in net. I think this guy gets the send-off he deserves. First, LA is absolute dog shit. Like, let's get one thing straight. The Kings have mailed it in. They were close a few weeks ago. Since then, everything's working against them. Like advanced metrics, actual outcomes. I think that this is one of those, maybe we'll just give this to Miller type starts, or maybe Miller absolutely deserves a win and steals it. Lowest goalie option, $6,600, so I'm taking Miller. We'll go back up to the top here. I absolutely splurged on my 2 centers and 3 of my 4 wingers. So 3 of my top 4 players. McDavid against Calgary. Like I said, he is on a mission to get to 100 points. I guarantee it. Against Calgary, they got, 3-1 a couple nights ago. It was a bad spot for them. Their second night of a back-to-back with travel. But I think tonight is a different outcome. I think McDavid leads the charge. If I'm remembering correctly, they've had I am going to be fully tuned into this one. Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner against Vancouver. Vancouver does not care about hockey. And Matthews and Marner always seem to play well on Saturday night. So I splurged on those 2. Next, second winger is Andre Burakovsky. San Jose at Colorado. Colorado, second night of a back-to-back. Things are going to get ugly tonight. San Jose, I will say, limited them to 3 goals. They're not going to be successful 2 nights in a row in doing that. I don't think this is a top-line performance. I think this is a second-line performance because, who was it? Landeskog, Makar, and someone else. Rantanen had multiple point game nights. I don't think they can do it back-to-back. I think that Burakovsky is the guy tonight. Moving to the back end, I always skimp out on defensemen, and maybe to my detriment. Keith Yandel, Florida at Chicago. Florida's the better team. Keith Yandel is only $3,900. Gets power play time. Seems like a good option. Similarly, Ryan Suter, St. Louis at Minnesota. Minnesota's great on home ice. Suter does a little bit of everything. Blocks, power plays, goals, assists, whatever. He can do it. $3,800, even cheaper than Yandel. So he's my guy. My utility players. This is where I got a little less certain. I went with Tyler Toffoli, Ottawa at Montreal. This one, and I said this maybe it was even last week or 2 weeks ago where they played each other. I was expecting a high-scoring game. I think it finished 2-1. I'm expecting a high-scoring game. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me in the ass. Tyler Toffoli seems to just snipe, so I'm taking him. And Nick Schmaltz, Vegas at Arizona. Arizona has a little bit left to play for. I think with Nick Schmaltz, we're going to see, or the goals that we're going to see from Arizona are going to come from the top line, putting them in those favorable spots, after an icing, power play time against the Knights. So Nick Schmaltz, $3,700 seemed like a bargain bin find for me. All things considered, and I know I say this every time, I like my lineup. And I know that it's probably just a matter of time before Austin Matthews decides that he doesn't want to play last minute and Connor McDavid breaks a hip or something, but I'm riding my lineup for better or for worse tonight.
Sweetie. Yeah, cool. So I kind of built a lineup. My entry obviously did not go through, so that is a shame. But I think I get the rest of it. So I like Grant. I like Connor McDavid at the top, $9,200. I think that's good value. I went a little bit different. I kind of cheaped out actually a little bit on the rest of my centers and wingers. So Montreal played last night. They've got some guy named Primo in net. And it's not, unless it's pasta, it ain't Primo. So I got Josh Norris and Brady Tkachuk top line for the Senators. I think they're going to put up some points tonight at $4,600 and $3,600 respectively. Nick Foligno, I'm going to kind of piggyback off Grant's thinking with the Mitch Marner and the Austin Matthews. The guy that's sitting there for $4,100. What great value. He's going to pass the puck to somebody at some point and potentially give you some good points, and that's great value. Cheaped out on defense as well. Quit showing me that. I don't want to see that. Brett Pesk and Matt Dumba at $4,200 for both of them. That's an okay defensive pairing right there. Columbus is not playing very good hockey at this point, so the Hurricanes might rocket like a hurricane tonight. I think at some point I had Brad Marchand, but I missed that game. So instead on utilities, I got about $7,500. I went with a Huberdeau and a Joe Pavelski, as well as Brian Elliott. I think the Flyers are due. The Devils have won something like 3 games in a row. The New Jersey Devils do not win 4 games in a row, so that's a guaranteed win right there for the Flyers tonight. And I get my little Billy Elliott pick, so.
I like it. I like your lineup.
I don't love my utility, so I play around with that. So, you still have $1,400. You could go kind of a big guy. You could get like your Austin Matthews. And then I think I saw... Was it Galchenyuk? He was like $3,000 or something like that.
He was $3,600. I thought long and hard about Galchenyuk.
Like, for $3,600, he's playing with someone. He might tap in a goal. He might get some, like, power play minutes at some point, right? Like, depending what they're doing with him. He's a hardworking kid. We don't think the Vancouver Canucks are even playing hockey at this point, so might not be a terrible value. Let's see what happens if we put him in our lineup. What could we do with that other guy? 3,600.
I'm so excited to watch this and actually see what you're doing. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Oh, we need to figure out how to do a screen share is what I'm hearing. So, look at that. I can get anyone I want. So, I could have Matthews. I could have... Ooh, and I still have $2,700. So, apparently... all right. So, it gives you an idea of what to do, right? So, I mean, like a guy like a Galchenyuk who plays on the second line, plays with John Tavares, might do something. Really, the sky's the limit. I can increase somewhere else, too, if I wanted. If I don't like one of my defenseman, I can bump that up. Oh, I can get Shea Theodore. There you go. Look at that.
I love being a part of your process. Just seeing your mind work, and you think, oh yeah, maybe this is why you do better. You do a little bit more, put a little more thought into it. I'm like, ooh, Matthews, ooh, Marner, and then I guess I could settle for Nick Schmaltz. No offense, Nick Schmaltz, but.
No offense, Nick Schmaltz, but I mean, I think if anything, one of the things I've learned, I've been terrible at these. I suck. I mean, it's hard because I sometimes don't enter contests for $3. I might roll with this, to be honest with you. Let's enter that lineup. Yeah, let's do it. Let's win some money. Cool. It's not just a 50-50. It's like 1,000-person pool. So great lineup. There, website's even telling me I'm doing a good job. So sweet.
I don't get that validation.
Yeah, cool. But like we were talking about before, I really do think that chatting with somebody, right, whether it's a friend, just someone in the household, right, send them a text, kind of chat with these things, because sometimes Grant says stuff, and he's like, I like this player because of this reason, and for this cost, and I just make those little tweaks. It's somewhat working. I think I'm up like $2 on the year.
Wow, better than the $25 I've donated, or whatever it is. I think it's more than $25 now. Fuck, hey?
Well, shit. But that ends. Maybe Grant is not great at the fantasy side. Maybe I have a little bit of a slight edge. But in a world where Grant is dominating me and I do not have any semblance of hope. Oh, Sabres have 2. Smith. Yeah, no, never mind. I didn't have any of those guys. Boop. Cool. Anyways, on to Bettor Advice. The contest where we take 100 theoretical dollars every week. We throw them at hockey games, seeing if something happens. And then we go on to show how smart we are and what solid advice we're doing. So hopefully you're not following my advice because it's down. Emotionally, I was solid. The Toronto Maple Leafs went 2-0 against the Jets. It looks like they've got first locked up now, so I'm happy. But my poor little parlay crapped out because I had the Winnipeg Jets. Too bad.
And I don't fault you for that pick either. And that was the difference. I can't remember what the other two ones, but I remember watching Saturday night thinking like everything boiled down to this last pick for you.
Vancouver and Dallas. So good job, team.
Well, you know, so I think you're down on the season. Not you got a puncher's chance here. You know what I was thinking? I don't know what your strategy is. You got 2 Saturdays left. Why not roll with our college or university strategy of shootout Saturday? You could try and hit like a 3-team parlay on shootouts or regulation draws, and you could basically be back to even. So I'm not telling you how to do your job or anything, but I love the idea so much that I am employing it this week myself. I guess I should also recap how I did last week. I think I went 1 for 3 with my picks, but I absolutely fell in love with my strategy. That is increasing my wager amount on shootouts and parlaying them. So that is 3 picks plus a $10 parlay. Last week I had 2 shootouts. One of them hit. I think it was Carolina, Florida that ended up going to the shootout. I won $96 on that pick, and then I lost $70 on the other stuff. So I ended up making $26. However, I am rolling with that strategy and getting a little greedy tonight. So I'm up, I think it was $130 or so, about 10. The return on investment was about 10%. 3. So this sounds like, what the fuck are you thinking, Grant? And you're right for thinking that, because it does sound a little crazy. But Carolina is playing well above their metrics. And that is over the last, I think it was 7 games, their PDO is like something like 1.07. So a combination of shooting and save percentages. Hypothetically, it should be at 1. Because if you're scoring and it will all balance out where your shooting and save percentage should somewhere get you around close to 1. They're way above that. Carolina's due for regression. Columbus has been improving their offensive efforts. I think this one goes to a shootout at plus 390. It just seemed like one of those, this doesn't make any sense, so it actually makes sense picks. So plus $30 on that one. New York at New York. I don't know why. I just love betting these games to go to a tie. It feels like one of the more underrated rivalries in sports. Rangers at Islanders. Islanders are a defensive team. Rangers got lots to play for. Plus 300. Another $30 on that. Rounding it out, LA at Anaheim. I like Anaheim a lot tonight. Second night of a back-to-back. Ryan Miller, what better way to win than like a shootout? Kind of one of those storybook endings where they carry him off the ice. I'm rolling the dice with it anyways. Plus 300. For another $30. That leaves me with $10. I am parlaying all 3 together for $774 potential payout.
Yeah, no, I like that. I was just wondering. I was like, what kind of a payout is that? So I picked 3 random games for $100. You're getting over $7,000. So I mean, if I did that and I hit on it, like that's the contest. I'm like, man, I'm the smartest. I did it, guys. Huh? Cool. Yeah. I like that. I like that strategy a lot. It's good. It's not bad. I'm not going to do it, though, because I did something else. What did I do? I like the Flyers. I mentioned earlier, New Jersey Devils do not win 4 games in a row. That's just not a thing that they do. The Canes over the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets, earlier this week, snapped a 9-game losing streak when they beat Detroit 1-0 in a shootout, something like that. I made a little bit of money on that one, because I saw that, and I was like, come on, Blue Jackets. But again, I think they're going to be a bit on the slide. I don't think that's a full rebound. Canes playing pretty good hockey. The Knights played a back-and-back against the Coyotes. They lost last night. I say they rebound, and they win tonight. So there's the first 3. And then I was torn at that point. Do I just do a 3-team parlay, throw all my chips on that, or do I put a little bit more juice on it? And then I saw this little Anaheim nugget sitting at the bottom of the betting ticket at plus 110. It bumps up the ticket to plus 600, which is pretty close to what I'm down. So if I put $100 on those 4 picks, and they all hit, I'm even.
Wow. Then we have a contest.
Then we got a contest. So we'll do that. And regardless, I still might just lose out this regular season and then just like, I know I'm down, but I'm just going to theoretically like reset myself to 0 for the playoffs and start again. So at this point, I got nothing to lose.
I'm going to go crazy next week. If I have this in the bag, I'm taking your $100 on a 3-team shootout ticket just to do one victory lap, I think. But before I get there, we got to get through tonight. Maybe you do claw back and all of a sudden we head into the last week of the regular season with actual pride on the line. I'll adapt my strategy. But if this is all mailed in, I'm definitely doing the 3-game $100 shootout parlay. Just to say that, hey, guys, like $7,000, that sounds okay.
Oh, 100%. Like watch our podcast the whole year, because you could win upwards of $7,000 if you followed our advice. So,
could you imagine? Oh man, these guys, hockey savants. Look at this last podcast. Look what they did.
Yeah. We could write an article, post it on Sportsnet. Sportsnet, their articles are just some of the worst things I've ever read in my life. So like, they'll take anything, obviously. So also, if you're a writer for Sportsnet, I'm sorry.
And talk about taking anything. We'll take anything that we can get in our Babe of the Week.
Heyo.
So, today's Babe of the Week is a mystery. And by that I mean, she could be whatever you want her to be, and you'll know what I mean when you see this. Misty McAllister. Misty Mac Allister. Allister.
She is. Wow, look at that one.
Yeah, it's outstanding. It's outstanding stuff, Mick. It's exactly why the internet was invented. And like that little bit of intrigue where you don't actually know what her face looks like. That just
Yeah, there's one where she's got like kind of shaving cream on and like, she's good for her. Good for her. All right, follow. Yep. Boop. Nice. Good job, Misty McAllister. You're our babe of the week. Schwing.
Schwing, schwing,
Schwing,
schwing.
schwing. Good. So another week in the books. We kind of looked ahead a little bit to what's going on. I feel like we didn't miss anything. Did you see the Austin Matthews goal?
Which one?
The one against the Canadians. It was kind of up in the air, and he smacked it down. Flipped it past Allen. It was pretty good. They talked about it a lot on the broadcast. That was actually the only thing I remember from the Wednesday night broadcast. So there, we talked about it. Yay!
Hit on all the important stuff, as always.
Important stuff. Coolio. Yeah, so like Grant said, another couple weeks of this format. We're into the postseason. We don't talk about crappy teams anymore. So Columbus, get out of here.
Hey, Anaheim, beat it.
Done. Out. I kind of like that the stand. Well, I guess we don't need to go into that. Anyways, that's kind of it. Good luck. Hopefully, we give you some guys good advice. You follow it, and you get rich. So,
yeah. You know what? Maybe you employed our $100 bet strategy, and you can be the new Bettor Advice segment host. Say, guess what? We took exactly what you said, and we did it. And now you guys are the assholes. We already knew we were assholes, so joke's on you.
Yep. Knew it. So, cool. So with that, sounds like a good time. Maybe grab a beer, put on a baseball game, have a nap on the couch. Lovely little day. So,
It's going to be a good Saturday.
Good Saturday. But with that, say, party on, Grant.
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week.